So, here we are on this rock, hurtling through space, spinning around a star. Actually, literally, that's precisely what we're doing at this very moment. We lose sight of that most of the time and get caught up in meaningless, utterly meaningless details that are really just distractions from reality. And we find ourselves making problems that don't even exist. Most of the aggravations and conflicts that humanity uh, has for itself are self-inflicted and entirely preventable. Um, a utopian society actually can exist, and in certain small, isolated occurrences, it can be made to exist within people's own lives, in their homes, in the way that they structure their time. And a lot of times, I guess that is something that takes quite a bit of effort to work towards. But even while someone's experiencing circumstances that would make them discontent, they can still, within the space between their own two ears, in their own consciousness, they can create their own utopia, even if all around them is reasons not to. And you hear about that sometimes. I mean, there are examples out there of that people can, through their sheer willpower and decisions, overcome whatever obstacles life presents them with, and intentionally choose to be content. Often, the things we strive for are more harmful to us than the happiness they promise to deliver. Uh, what I mean is the cost in time and effort to attain possessions or experience all that life has to offer sometimes outweighs the enjoyment or satisfaction derived from those possessions or experiences. Really, a simple existence that is at peace and is sustainable is, for most people, what would be most beneficial. But we as humanity, we inflict suffering upon each other and ourselves by being hyper competitive and full of pride and refusing to be content in the little things or the moments that should be enjoyable. We skip over 90% of actual living because we're so deceived into chasing after more and more that doesn't even exist. Enough will never be enough, and I'm sure most people can think of examples from their own families or relatives, or even, you know, anyone that they may have known that was older and wiser from a previous generation that squandered their lives. You know, the very thing that could have afforded them a nice time, a nice existence, was lost. You know, we're sacrificing the exact thing that we're chasing in reality. You know, if we weren't so consumptive and if we weren't so heavily taxed, people could be very efficient on the small scale within, you know, their own lives and their own side hustles and businesses and their own gardens, their own homes, and their own communities. That's where prosperity occurs. It isn't through massively complex and fragile logistics and supply chain systems, where a single, you know, Panamax container ship can get blown off course, wedged into the sand, and choke off trade and commerce for weeks. You know, that type of a catastrophic inefficiency shouldn't be debilitating to people's individual lives. We shouldn't be so dependent on society's, you know, large scale systems that we don't have the ability to survive on our own. People can be mean, and I mean, it's impossible to explain how unfathomably mean and cruel people can be. And in our, you know, recent history, we've been relatively protected from having to experience the worst that humans are capable of because of advances in technology and enjoying the benefits of a relatively humane and you know, law-abiding society overall, on average, you know. But things can change quickly, and people can become very desperate and willing to do things they never could have conceived of or dreamt of themselves doing, never could have pictured themselves doing, but in an instantaneous rage of starvation or suffering or, you know, finite scarcity of fill in the blank, people can lose it. Even, you know, even during the waning good times that we find ourselves in, people just go berserk if they don't immediately get their way. You know, it's kind of hard to say what percentage, but probably over 50%. The majority of the population is basically just adult toddlers, you know, with a degree and a job and a mortgage and a car payment. And they're just absolute, total, complete assholes. That's the world we live in. And the collapse that we are staring down the barrel of, we need it. We need to be humbled. We need to learn how to suffer, how to endure. We need to become reacquainted with the meaning and the importance of the small things. Not just how to survive, but the privilege it is to be alive. Efficiency, you know, has its limits on what it's capable of delivering. At a certain point, prosperity and excess, materialism becomes harmful. It's we don't need all the things that we think we need. It's possible to function in a far more down to earth way and actually be better off. So, hopefully World War III will bring about ultimately a better world. We'll see.